2023, Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals. If you'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Tony S. Here. Tony G.
Here.
I'm here. Art.
Here.
Larry is absent. Christine.
Here.
And Phyllis.
Here.
Okay. I have one item that I have to recuse myself on, so Christine will be handling that one. For those of you unfamiliar with the procedures here before the board, there's an agenda up here. Each item will be taken in the order that's on the agenda. The applicant will come forward, be sworn, and describe what their application is about. The board may have some questions, and anyone from the audience, in the live audience or the Zoom audience, as soon as that ever happens, is welcome to comment. Then we'll move, if the record's closed, we'll move to the next item. At the end of the agenda, we'll go into a deliberation period where no more testimony or evidence will be taken, and we'll decide. So you can either wait till the end of the meeting to find out about your application, or you can call the zoning administrator in the morning. And with that, let's begin with item number 1, 12 East Dogwood. Come on up.
13 East, Robert.
I'm sorry?
13 East, not 12.
Well, okay. It certainly is 13.
You're close.
I think you were sworn last time, so you're still under oath. So what's changed since you were last here?
Last time when I was here, I had that survey at the same day I had received.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for a 17 feet variance, but then the survey showed that my extension is actually up to the borderline between me and my neighbor. So I'm looking for extension of, variance of 20 feet.
Okay. And how long has that addition been there, if you can tell?
Since 1958.
Okay. And the shed in the back that you also need a variance for,
Yes, sir.
how old is that shed?
I actually don't know, but it's the 1.3 from the side and 3.3 from the back.
Okay. What's the condition of the shed?
It is in good shape.
It's in good shape? Okay. All right, I don't have any further questions. Christine?
No questions.
Art?
No, excuse me, no questions.
Phyllis?
So when I'm looking at the house,
Yes,
you're talking about a 20-foot variance on the left side of the house?
yes.
Okay,
That's
thank you. I have no further questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Tony?
no questions.
All right. Anyone from the audience who wishes to comment on this application? There's no one in the direct audience. We'll see if there's anyone on Zoom.
If you're on Zoom, I'll put you right up to the microphone, and if you want to try to speak up. Anyone there wishing to speak on this application? I don't even know if they hear me. I'm not muted, so I think they should. As far as I know, we're okay to go. But can someone that's on the Zoom maybe just unmute themselves and just say something, just so I know that it's working?
Hi, it's working.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, so, good.
Okay, thanks. In that case, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. And again, you can either wait till the end of the meeting or find out tomorrow.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Next up is 44 Treetop Lane. Is there anyone here for that application?
Yes.
Come on up. State your name and you'll be sworn.
I'm Gary Jobson, 44 Treetop Lane.
And his wife, Sandra Jobson.
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Jobson, do you both swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes,
Do.
Okay, why don't you describe your application?
we're asking for a variance, a fence variance on a height, 2.5 feet relief on a fence at our residence in the front yard.
Okay, and how long's the fence been there?
I'm trying, give me a second to look up, I could probably find out, a couple of years.
The three new panels were put in up close to the road, like 2 years ago. it was during COVID. And all of the other fence panels were put up in like 2010.
Okay. And in your application, you submitted a survey?
Yes,
That seems to indicate that at least some of those panels extend past your property line?
in the front yard,
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
okay.
Can you open it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have it right here. We just used that, another application. We just used that more as a base plan. So the attached plan shows the existing fence and then the three newer panels.
So
And
the
this is a base plan from when we bought the house.
Okay, but, but it's a survey, right?
Well, they asked us to submit a map with our application, so we just used what we had.
Okay, but what you've submitted to us, and in fact, the one that I have has red writing, says 3 5-foot with 1-foot lattice top or fence panels variance. Okay, that seems to indicate that you're going into the highway, past your property line. Is that accurate?
Oh, that part, I would say we stopped at the, I'm
not sure.
I'm not sure, that part,
It may
that's
be.
not to scale. That was just drawn to show representationally the 3 panels that we added.
All right,
to-
then
To
I'm gonna-
provide screening. Sorry for the confusion.
That's okay.
I mean, it may.
Yeah, that we don't know, we didn't have that survey.
I have some photographs here.
Yeah, and we submitted photos with the application.
I'm gonna ask you to come up. Yep, either one of them, whichever, probably easier. So this is a photograph that was submitted by your neighbors, and it seems to indicate that right about here is a
Pin.
pin.
That's correct.
So the fences extend past your property line?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And who installed the fences?
We,
We did.
well,
Oh, you
we
did.
did, we hired a contractor.
Oh, yeah, so who's the contractor?
I put that in the application. I think I put the receipt in the application.
I think it was Dave.
Yeah, it's like the third to last page in the package.
Okay, all right. Then, those are all the questions I have. Tony S.
Okay, just to state the obvious, or to ask you about the obvious, do you realize that what you've done there with your fence creates a sightline problem for traffic trying to get out of other driveways?
Well, the reason that we put the fence in was as mitigation. The traffic on Treetop Lane, it's a dead end. Traffic goes very slow, and I don't think we believe that it does create a hardship or is a safety issue.
Okay, well, I would beg to differ, but that's me. And apparently your neighbor begs to differ as well.
Well, we weren't particularly happy when the driveway construction started. And when we called planning in the highway department, we were told 2 years ago that it was not a driveway, that it was strictly for access to get the RV in and out. We were neighborly and we backed off of our objection to the driveway. And then a year later, they started parking there every night. When we did call at that point, they then had a highway permit. We really have been taken advantage of over the past 2 years because incrementally, a driveway.
A second driveway.
That should have been reviewed by and gone through zoning did not. Apparently there were phone calls, there was no documentation. We're trying to protect our home's value, so we put the screening up. We extended there was a fence there. We extended the fence by 3 panels as mitigation, and we put in full height.
With a lattice on the top.
So we're here today to try to find the compromise between, which we've been trying to do for a couple months now.
Okay, that's all I've got.
Tony G?
So the vehicle that's parked there in the pictures, I think we saw, that's the same vehicle we saw there. Is that what's parked there normally?
Every night, even though we've asked since the driveway construction started 3 years ago, we asked that they not park there. When we bought our house, it was a beautiful house with just our driveway, and they have their own driveway, double car driveway. Why they've chosen to park there every night began when we asked them. We said, the town explained to us that you got that you put in the second access road to get your RV in and out.
Yeah, this really stems from the second
It
primary
really
driveway.
has to do with the car being there every night. I'm not sure why they don't park in their primary, but that's, you know, that's separate. We're looking for a variance, so we don't have to look at the front of a truck, we don't have to look at the John Deere tractor, we don't, just in the front. It's a usage thing, so we did mitigation on our part.
That's all the question.
Okay. Phyllis?
So the pictures, there are other pictures in the packet. And this is your home,
Correct.
okay?
There are other fences in our neighborhood that also extend same height in the front yard, that extend to the same point, proximity within the, so it's not out of context for that roadway. Others do exist.
Yeah, and I think there's a picture of that in the
I
packet.
put that in the packet too. And those have been in place for at least 15 years.
And you're referencing the fence that looks similar to yours, it's on the stone wall,
Yeah.
Correct. That stops.
huh? I have no further questions, thank you.
Okay. Art?
Yeah, the fence that you're showing on the stone wall stops well short of the roadway.
It's probably only, if it's not well, if you were to tape measure it, it's probably,
I'm not gonna tape measure, but it has no blockage of the line of sight whatsoever.
I guess,
And you're just putting that up so, because you don't wanna look at their truck?
when we bought our home,
No, that's the
yeah, it's a
question was.
primary, yes, it's a primary view. We're trying to protect our property value, and we've always felt that that was a zoning issue.
But you put a fence on property that's essentially not yours, they planted right away for the town, isn't it?
I guess there's two things. We're here today for a variance on the height of the fence,
Yeah.
because that's what we were told we were not in compliance.
Right, so you can
with.
have a 3.5-foot fence in your front yard, but you want
Okay.
a taller fence, so
Correct.
that's the variance. But what some of the people are concerned about is the part of the fence that goes past your property line.
Okay, well that, if there's a pin in the ground, my apologies, we could adjust that. This could be part of the bigger conversation,
Mhm.
but I just want to make sure we're talking about both.
Okay.
So that pin in the ground is a panel and whatever, back from the roadway. So you're saying that you'll be able to at least take down that last panel?
Yes, if that's, to make it compliant, absolutely.
And what if you had to knock the other section down to 3 feet?
No, because they park there every night. It's a view shed issue.
No more questions.
I mean, that's why we're here.
Okay. Christine?
Well, that was my question, you know, if the fence in fact goes beyond your property line, if you had to take the fence back to the property line, that would still mitigate your issue of seeing their truck. Okay.
Yeah, we don't want anything that's not on we wouldn't want anything off of our property line, right? Property lines are very important, I totally get that. if the town would like us to stop the fence within our property, absolutely. But we really would like the height. I guess we're here for the height, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the primary parking occurs in this driveway. The vehicle that's parked there most of, not the two-lane driveway that goes up to the garage.
That ship is already sailed.
All right. Is there anyone from the community who wishes to comment on this application? Okay, why don't you come on up? One of you step aside so that they can come and sit up. And come on up and state your name.
My name is Matthew White.
Mr. White, Mr. White, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, so you submitted a detailed letter with some photographs?
Yes.
Okay, anything you want to add to that?
Well, if you saw the letter and you read the letter and saw the photographs.
Yeah, that'll be part of the record.
There.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to comment on what was just said. My driveway didn't start as a driveway. Bought a camper in 2017. I called zoning to ask where I could park it. At the time, it was a previous zoning administrator. Zoning said it cannot be in front of your house. It has to be behind the face on gravel, cannot be on grass. So I did gravel. Behind the face of the driveway on the side of the house, on the south side of my house.
Right.
So we started using the camper every weekend, and I was making the front yard mud because I'd come back in the rain, I'd back in. You know, when I left, if it was raining, I'd take mud to the street. So I didn't want to have a mess in the street. I called zoning and said, can I bring gravel out toward the street? And she said, yes, but I want you to call highway and find out how close. I think it's 10 feet. Called highway, highway said, no closer than 10 feet. No problem. So a few times that we went camping, this is back in 2017, I left the truck, I'd pull the truck away from the camper and leave it in that front gravel area. And I received a phone call from my neighbor saying, hey, you can't park, it's not a second driveway, you can't have a second driveway, you can't park. Called zoning, zoning said, well, if you make it a driveway, you can park there. I said, how do I do that? Is there a permit? She said, no, it doesn't go through zoning, it goes through highway. So I called highway, highway gave me the permit for the street opening. And I put the driveway in, finished it with 10-foot, 12-foot wide blacktop apron, cut into the street. Highway came by, signed off on it. I called zoning, said highway signed off. She said, you can park there. Okay. That was in 2020. So in 2020, it was a driveway. I can park in my driveway. It's not parking in my front lawn. Now, to back up a few years back to about 2010, I believe they are correct on the fence was built in 2010. At that time, they passed the face of their house with the fence. And I said, I didn't get a variance letter. That's odd. There were no permits for the fence back in 2010. I haven't said anything since the fence was built until today because it wasn't necessary. The fence was fine. I didn't have a problem with the fence. I didn't have a problem with the fact that they passed the face of the house. But when they then decided to go all the way out past the property mark into the street so that as my kids are riding their bikes out from the backyard and the Amazon truck's going by at 45 miles an hour, it's dangerous. We have Amazon, FedEx, UPS, same as every other street. People drive fast. We're not at the dead end. We're 5 houses down from the dead end. So they go flying by to get to the houses at the dead end. All I'm asking is that that 10 feet be removed so that as we come out of that driveway, we can actually see. The other thing is there is a picture in there that shows my truck from in front of 44. You can't see it. You can't see it. It doesn't stick above the fence. You can't even see. I have a cap on my truck. You can't see it. I do occasionally have my trailer behind me with my John Deere tractor, which is taller than the fence, but it's only if I'm transporting it somewhere, and it's not every day. I'm not a commercial business. I take it to my mom's house to do some work, or to my brother's house, or whoever, my sister. So I'm not using it commercially, and normally it's on the ground in my backyard, and all my trailers are in my backyard. I don't park anything out front. Now, as far as having a primary driveway and a secondary driveway, there are no laws against that. I read all of the zoning laws. Nothing says I have to go to zoning. Everything refers me to highway. When I call the building department and say, I'd like a permit for a driveway. They said, call highway. That was recently. So everything says that I should have gone to highway. I did. I have permits. It's a legal driveway. My wife parks in the garage. She parks in the middle. She backs in. I don't park in front of her. She has 2 kids. I have 2 kids. We have step parents coming, right? So we have cars constantly coming and going because it's like a revolving door. Kids leaving every other day to go to the other parent's house. My parents show up. I just park my truck in the gravel driveway, and that way it's out of the way for us. It makes it easier for us.
Okay. Tony has any questions?
No, nothing more.
Tony?
No questions.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Art?
How difficult would it be to not have the tractor there at all?
Well, if I'm transporting and I come home, I have to unload it. It takes a bit of time. Unstrap it, unload it, put it in my yard, back the trailer in the yard. It depends on what time I come home. I don't leave it there. If I'm leaving in the morning to go to my sister's house, I'll load it the night before, hook it to my truck, and let it sit there. But I didn't know that there was a.
It's just a question. For the
I understand.
stuff.
I understand. If there's no law against it, I don't see why it's an issue. But I try not to leave it in the trailer. That's all I can tell you. I mean, it takes, a couple straps, put the ramps on, back it out. It's not a huge tractor. It's the smallest John Deere you could buy. It's the smallest bucket loader that John Deere sells. It's a 1 series. It's really small. It looks like a garden tractor on steroids. It's
Okay. No more questions.
Christine?
No questions.
Okay, and then briefly, if you wanted to respond to anything that he said. I know you were showing a picture. Do you have
Oh,
something?
we supplemented our application with a photo of the fact that, his truck does commonly come all the way out to the driveway. Because his truck has a trailer that's attached to it. So again, that's why we added 3 panels, because very often the truck does exceed the existing fence that was there.
Okay.
Can I comment on that, please? That picture was specifically for you guys to see that as I'm pulling out of my driveway, I can't see until I'm at that point, but it never barks where I have that picture.
Okay.
My wheels are always behind my blacktop, so my front wheels are always, no matter what's behind me, behind the 10-foot blacktop that extends into my yard. I never park there, ever. And actually, if you look at the picture that shows that you can't see my truck, I park all the way back. I park a few feet off of my gate to my backyard is 40 feet from the road, from the property stake. So it's 16 feet to the road, so I'm 56 feet to my gate. My truck's 22 feet long. I park 10 feet from my gate every time. I have indents in the ground where my tires sit. I can show you where I park.
Okay. Anyone else who wants to comment on this application? I don't see anyone in the audience. Is there anyone on Zoom?
All right. Once again, anyone on Zoom wish to comment on this application? And even if not, could somebody just tell me that you've heard my request?
Heard your request.
Thank you so much. All right. Anyone else then? Doesn't look like it.
All right, then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Can I just ask before we close it, are these 6-foot panels or 8-foot panels?
In
Because
length?
yeah,
They're 8 foot in length.
okay, because it
Height
seems,
is 6 foot.
okay, there's a couple of spots where it says 6-foot panels and then a couple of spots where it says 8-foot panels, so I just wanted to be
6
clear.
foot height, 8 foot length.
Okay. Thank you.
Then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And again, you can wait till the end of the meeting or find out tomorrow. That brings us to item number 3, Jose Diaz. I'm going to recuse myself on this one, and so Christine will take over.
If you wanted to stand at all while showing us anything, that other microphone does work. You just got to turn it on and give it a minute. Okay.
Dane,
Yeah, good evening. My name is Michael Burke. I'm the architect for the applicant.
do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay. Tell us about your application, please, Mr. Porter.
So, a little bit of background history, if I may. We were before the board in 2015 and actually received a variance at the time, a little bit of a lesser variance. I think it was about 2 feet smaller of a variance. The project that stalled and died at that point in time, and it came back about a year ago, and he put up a detached garage, which met the setback requirements, but now he's looking to attach it again. So we're looking for a variance that's it's about 2 foot bigger than what we had asked for back and received in 2015.
Okay. And it's to attach the house to the garage?
Correct.
That's it, okay. Does anybody have any questions? Art?
No, I'm good.
Phyllis?
It's gonna be on the same line as the house, it's not gonna go, it's not gonna go towards the neighbor's property in any way.
The connection between the house and the garage is actually, it's indent about 8 feet. It's in line with the house. The garage sticks behind, closer to the property line, but the addition is in line with the house.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
Tony?
Just to clarify, I think it was Mr. Diaz that we talked to that day.
Yes.
So it goes to the end of the deck. Is it immediately to the end of the deck, or is it just shy of that? Because I kind of went back and forth in describing that.
Yeah, it's
It's like 2 feet shy of it.
yeah, if I may.
Sorry.
Push-
Pushed it in there a little too hard, maybe.
If I may, you can see right here, we're lining up that 2 foot piece that you're talking about is outside of it, so it's coming inside of that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, it was an old chimney or something at some point years ago.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Do we need to check our Zoom?
Well, we need to see if
anybody
anyone in the
can? Is there
room has
anybody
any
here?
comments?
Is there anybody that'd like to comment on this application?
Actually, I think, Jose Diaz, you're my back neighbor. I believe you put up the new fence about a year ago. Is that right? On the right side of your property?
Well, the architect for the applicant is here, but Mr. Diaz, I don't believe is, so I don't know if you
he's
can answer
not.
that. No,
He's not here.
he's
All
not
right,
here.
well, actually, my concern, I don't have any concern with what he wants to do right now, but if I could share my screen, he has these spotlights up in his backyard, and they're intense, and they shine directly into the back of my home and my bedroom.
Christine, you just want to have her identify herself and then be sworn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Art, would you just ask?
All right.
I'm sorry, so just hold on one moment because we just need to swear you in, okay?
Okay.
What was your name again? I'm sorry.
What was your name again?
My name is Erica Salzman Talby. I live at 50 Laughin Lane, and I received the letter about this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I swear that it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so the question was about the lights, and related to, it doesn't appear to be related specifically to this application, but it's an existing condition that you're talking about?
Yeah, right. I don't know. Can you see my screen right now? I just did share screen.
On a normal night, we would be able to see this, but this is not a normal night, and so you're on my cell phone, and I see your screen, and I do see a bright light, yeah. Is that on all the time?
Yeah, these two are on all night long.
All right.
And the other, this one comes on, it's a motion detector. It's the brightest one. And they're just, even, look at that, even during the daytime, it's really light. I mean, during the early morning hours. It's just these are very bright lights. And I'm wondering, I don't want to tell Mr. Diaz that he can't have lights if he's trying to protect, things in the backyard. But I'm wondering if there's any way to just put like a little roof over them so that they kind of only shine down into his yard and not straight out over the fence into my windows. I don't know.
Okay, no, thank you for the comment. I guess maybe this is something that you could reach out to the zoning administrator about separately from this particular application. And we have the applicant here, the architect here for the applicant. Maybe they could speak to Mr. Diaz about this. Technically, the light is not supposed to be shining off the property, so there is actually, it's a little hard to, but maybe that's something you could work with.
I'll mention it to him.
Okay,
Okay.
'Cause I'm not,
I really
you know-
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
okay.
And have her call me in the morning?
All right, and you can call the zoning administrator in the morning too, if you would like, and she can, get your information and see what can be done. Is that all right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
I have to admit, I've never been there at night, so I've never seen the lights.
Yeah, well, we didn't have the benefit of the Zoom. Is there anyone else on the Zoom that wanted to comment on this application? And I'm going to say no, so I think we're okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if there are no further questions, I move to close the public hearing.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And one recusal. Okay.
All right, and then that,
Well, thank you for your time. Quick question. If I get home in time, can I watch the deliberations on Zoom?
If you're that bored, sure.
I got nothing else to do.
You can watch the cable channel.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm in the Grange, you know. Thank you.
All right. My battery's getting low, so if somebody else, has a phone that wants to dial into the Zoom, if you have a phone, yeah, just in case it goes out afterwards, maybe just be ready. And I'm gonna go in the back and see if they're making any progress, but we can keep going in the meantime, so.
all right, that brings us to item number 4, 61 Park Avenue. Is there someone here from that application? Come on up, state your name.
Hi, my name is John McKee. I'm representing the owner, 61 Park Ave.
John, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
All right, why don't you describe this application?
So in the back of the house, we're looking at doing an addition. The lot size is pretty narrow. Pretty much all the lots on that street are the same. And in order to get the addition in there, we fall within that 20-foot setback. So it's on either side, it actually falls. It's pretty narrow. I think it's a 50-foot lot. And the addition we're doing is a little over 20 feet. So need a variance on either side.
And based upon the diagram that you submitted, it does not encroach into the side lot line any further than the existing structure, is that
No,
correct?
no, it's not.
Okay. Then I don't have any further questions. Christine?
No questions.
Art?
No questions?
Phyllis?
No questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Tony?
And no questions.
All right, anyone from the audience who wishes to comment on this application? If there's no one in the audience, anyone on Zoom? Were you?
I'm not on here.
Are you not
Is
on?
my phone still there, or did you take it with him? Sorry, I'm getting
Did you need me to do the Zoom for you?
I don't see anyone on Zoom, if I looked at it correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
In that case, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And again, you can wait until the end of the meeting or find out tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
That brings us to item 5, 20 Colburn Drive.
How are you guys? I'm Ed Morrow from Tomorrow's Architecture, representing Mr. Campo for the addition on South Property.
Mr. Morrow and Mr. DeCampo, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, why don't you describe this application?
Okay, so my client would like to do an addition off the side of his house. Currently, there's a stone patio that's on the north side of his house. And we want to put a two-story addition above that stone patio. And then off the back of the addition, a one-room, we'll call it a library, with a lookout deck on top. We're not going to go past the patio's foundation lines that are currently there, so we're going to build right on top of it. But because it's a pre-existing non-conforming, we have to get that vertical variance approval. but that falls away from the property line, so the variance we're looking for is no greater than what the original foundation was, which is 4.7 feet. The variance is going to be requested, is it 4.7? 4.7 feet with the request for variance, yeah.
Okay. I don't have any questions. Tony S?
No questions.
Tony G?
No question.
Phyllis?
No questions.
Art?
I do have one question that I always get concerned about. Are you gonna pitch any water into his yard, being that close to his property?
Are we going to pitch any water?
Water runoff from that roof?
No, it's,
Can I capture that?
It will be in gutters, if it is, it's going to be in gutters and leaders.
Take it away
Coming
from his
down,
property?
yeah. Away from the property of a neighbor, yeah, and we'll run it down the back.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Christine?
No questions.
All right, anyone from the audience who wishes to comment on this application? I don't see anyone on the,
Excuse me.
Yeah.
We couldn't really hear anything. Everything, all the voices were broken.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Did you want to comment on this application?
I just want to hear what he was described.
What was described, okay.
About water or something, I couldn't hear it.
so there was a concern about water runoff from the addition, and that was stated that there'll be gutters and leaders leading the water away from the property. Is that accurate?
Yeah, to the rear.
Towards the rear of the property, away from any houses on either side.
Okay, so did you hear that?
Not really, it's broken.
Oh, all right.
I can hear you very clearly.
You can hear me very clearly. Well, that's nice. So what they said was the water would be directed from gutters out so that it would go out to the rear, off the property, away from the neighbors.
Okay, that's good.
Is that good? All right. Did you have any other concerns?
I already talked to Dave over weekend, so I understand that the extension wouldn't exceed the current deck border, right? Whatever he has, and he would not dug further deep to the ground. Is that what I just want to verify that.
So yeah, the architect is here and he's saying correct. Yes.
75% of the foundation is already there.
Okay.
We are adding it, but it's in the back walkout portion of the
Okay.
house.
Yeah. So I think you're all set then.
Yes, I'm his direct neighbor, so
Okay.
yes, I'm fine.
Okay. Good. All right. Thanks. Is there someone else who wishes to comment on the Zoom? All right. I think we're okay.
All right, then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Any opposed? Then that motion carries. That brings us to item number, and again, you can wait till the end of the meeting or find out tomorrow. Okay. That brings us to item number 6, 20 Oakwood Drive. Is there someone here for that application?
Oh, okay. You're on Zoom. Okay. Can you tell us who you are then?
Yeah, my name is Daniel Meyer. I am the son of Cassandra Meyer, who owns the house.
Mr. Meyer, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I swear.
Okay, why don't you describe your application?
So I have a Mercedes Sprinter van that I use for work, and I'm trying to get a special use permit so I can park the van in my driveway.
Okay, and what do you do?
I do all mobile service, so I'm always going out to customers, property. I don't do anything at the house because I prefer not to do that. And so I'm always going out. I normally come home for lunch, and then maybe one other time, maybe 2 times throughout the day, because I only work when I have to work. So on my downtime, I come back home because I have a 6-month-old, so I take care of her as well.
So how many trips a day do you think you do with the van?
Coming in and out, I'd say 2 to 3.
Okay. In your application, you indicated that was only parked there during non-business hours. What do you describe as your business hours?
I do like 8:30 till 5 is business. And then I end up coming home at lunch between like 12 or 1, and then head back out.
Do you have a brick and mortar store, or do you just work out of the van?
Just out of the van.
On the property, there's a fence, a stockard fence kind of thing. What's behind that?
Just open lane.
Is there a gate? There's a gate there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Are you able to park the van behind the gate?
Yeah, I can do that. I had that, I was doing that first, because I got the van, in June last year. And then I had, just worked out a little busier, and I just kind of left it out front to make it easier, so I didn't have to open the gate every time I went out.
Because if he parked behind the gate, he doesn't need a special use permit, does he?
Still require the special use permit for parking a commercial vehicle on residential property.
Does he need access to that paved or gravel access, so it doesn't go up over his lawn?
You just go to the highway
It'd
department.
be on the grass, so you would have to pave it.
And the picture of the van that you submitted in your application, you know the dimensions of that?
I know it's like 9 feet high, and I'm not sure the length of it. I'd say maybe like 20. I think like 20 to 22 feet long, because I think I put a piece of metal material in there that was about probably closer to 20 feet, because I just put a 12-foot length of board in there. It went up to like the driver's seat.
So it definitely needs a special use permit.
And what do you carry in the van?
I have some high security keys for a few of my clients and the machines. It's pretty much the van is the shop, so I have key machines, all the like 90% of my inventory's in there. The keys to my clients' buildings and such.
Any chemicals?
No chemicals. I have a WD-40 in there. That's it for chemicals.
Okay, that's all I have. Christine?
No questions.
Art?
Just that there's already a vehicle parked on the grass in front of the house, and this would be the second one as far as I can tell. And if he did park behind the house, or behind the front line of the house, again, just to be sure, he would have to do some kind of a paved or gravel driveway to get to it, so you're not tearing up the lawn, is that true?
He just has Chrissy,
You gotta use the microphone.
Yeah, so the commercial vehicle itself requires a special use permit. As far as parking it, it has to be parked in a duly constructed driveway.
So you can't just drive across the grass to park on the grass?
No.
Okay.
I mean, for temporary storage purposes, some of the other vehicles, are all the vehicles registered?
Yeah, they're all registered.
I saw that they all had plates. Are there all the registrations up to date?
Yeah, they're all up to date.
Even the ones that don't have, that look like they were being repaired?
Yes. They all have registration up to date.
I mean, I believe they can all fit in the driveway, just, you know, need to keep them there.
No more questions.
Phyllis?
So, Chrissy, all those vehicles can stay in that driveway?
Yeah, if they're registered.
Okay, thank you. I
Yep,
have
yeah.
no questions.
But they can't be parked on the grass.
They can't be
next to
parked on the
driveway.
grass,
Right,
correct.
And neither can the commercial vehicle.
Right.
Is there any other place you can store your vehicle?
I don't have any other place. I would like to keep it ideally on the property because of what's inside of it, because I have keys and stuff that are high security for some of my clients.
Okay. Tony G.
No further questions.
Tony S.
No questions.
Did you see this?
And for the record, there was a letter from the neighbors, which will be made part of the record, indicating that their opinion is that, well, are the Myers here? Okay.
The Myers are the applicant. Is there anyone on?
Okay, so Cyril Robinson, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, come on up.
What's your name, sir?
Sorrel Robinson.
Mr. Robinson, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Go ahead.
What I wanted to do, I wasn't sure if you'd received my letter, but I see you have received it. I was just going to read that letter to you.
That's fine.
I wasn't sure that you had received it.
No, that's fine.
I'll just go ahead and read it, okay?
You can read it or I'll read it, whichever way you prefer.
I'll enter it into the record.
Okay.
My name is Cyril Robinson. I live at 27 Oakwood Drive. I'm across the street from 26 Oakwood Drive. I believe this special use permit should not be granted as it is not in keeping with the appearance and character of the neighborhood. I feel that this could possibly lower property values to the adjacent residences, including mine. My wife wanted to remind you that we'd recently had a real estate agent out, and they said that because of the appearance of the residents across the street, it could hurt what she would give, what she would ask for our property. The commercial vehicle is an oversized van, approximately 8 to 9 feet tall from the ground. It has lettering covering on all sides of the vehicle. The commercial vehicle is generally parked at the residence most of the day and all non-business hours. The vehicle is usually parked in the front yard of the residence next to the garage due to the numerous cars in the driveway. And I submitted pictures, which I think you have. I don't believe this commercial vehicle qualifies for a special use permit, and I feel it should be denied. That's all I have to say. Unless you have any questions for me.
Christine, do you have any questions?
No, No, thank you.
Art?
No question. Phyllis?
One of the pictures had a tire.
Oh, yeah,
What is that?
that's a display in front of the house.
Oh, it's like.
Can you make out what's in the picture?
It looks like, two chairs with a skeleton
With
and a cup,
skeletons,
right?
yeah,
And a tire.
that's a year-round display.
Okay.
I wanted you to get a feel for what the front of the house looks and the appearance of the residence.
Thank you.
And the number of cars that are always parked in the driveway, that's why the van is generally parked in the dirt next to the garage, because there's no room for the van in the driveway.
So in the picture where the van is off to the side,
Yes,
that's what you're referencing is the dirt off?
the dirt, yeah,
Okay,
that's,
thank you.
that's where it's generally parked, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
two questions. Based on these pictures, that the Ford truck is also parked on the grass all the time, it looks like, by the way it's dug up.
Oh,
And-
you're talking about the pickup truck, the orange pickup truck, yeah. That's always there.
And do any of the cars in the driveway ever leave the driveway? Do they ever move, or they stay there forever, every day?
The vehicles that are up closest to the garage doors don't generally move. He works on the cars, you know, but they're generally, they stay up, you know, near the garage. There are no cars in the garage. The garage is like a workshop.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Tony?
No questions, thank you.
Tom?
No questions. The applicant want to comment on any, or respond to any of those comments?
I do understand that it is, it's not perfect. It's not super clean. I have been slowly trying to clean it up because, so this is my parents' house, and my dad was always the one that kept everything clean. They separated, I don't know, like 12 years ago, and I'm the only one that takes care of the house. I try to clean it up, keep it clean as best as I can, but I'm just always really busy. And I can move one of the cars that's in the driveway. I have a friend that I can bring the car to. But for like the tire out front and the skeletons, that's just kind of decoration, it shouldn't matter what people want to put out. It's kind of, I guess that's it.
Okay. Any questions based upon those comments?
I
Phyllis?
just wanted to ask, is there something that gets in the way of using the garage as a garage?
Yeah, I have, I have motorcycles in there, my tools, I'm always like tinkering in there, so I have quite a bit of tools and a big work table in there, so there's no room for a car to go in there.
Okay, so you're able to move one car to a friend's. Is there any other movement that can happen with those other vehicles?
I can ask around, I can see if maybe I can bring one to my father's house, but they are, if that's what it takes, I'm willing to do what I have to do, because it would be nice to have the, work vehicle on the property, just so it's easier for me, and then I don't have to pay for parking somewhere for storage.
And I can totally understand that. If you get a call, it's an odd hour, you have to go out, that's understandable. So you're driving all of those other registered vehicles on a regular basis?
Not on a regular basis. I've been mainly driving my work truck, just because, all the other cars are older than, 74. So, my work truck is a 2017, so it's pretty nice driving that around. So I'm kind of sticking with that.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Tony?
No questions.
Tony?
No question.
Anyone wants to comment on anything?
Should I see if anyone else on the Zoom wanted to comment on this application? Not seeing anybody. There's two other people on, but they're not apparently responding for this one, so.
So, Mr. Chairman, the way the code is written, in order for the zoning board to grant a special use permit for the parking of a commercial vehicle, it has to be, the commercial vehicle can only be parked during non-residential hours, which there's testimony that is not the case for this one, and the vehicle cannot generate more than 2 trips per day. I asked Chrissy at some point whether it was trips, it says to and from, so, and we have testimony from the applicant that this would be more, there are 2 to 3 trips a day. In order for the ZBA to grant a variance, to grant the special use permit, then there would need to be variances granted from that provision, which were not advertised. So I just, when the board is deciding how it wants to handle this application, whether to close the public hearing or do whatever, we should take that consideration into account.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant, if the special use permit were denied, is the applicant barred from reapplying under a change of conditions for any period of time?
I think you can't apply for the same variance request, and I think it's a period of 12 months. And the other thing I wanted just to say, Chrissy's shaking her head.
I think it's 18.
18 months, okay.
But it's not a variance, it's a special use permit, is that the same?
No, that might be, I think you can reapply for a special use permit. I think it's just a variance, and I will look. The other thing that I would point out for the board, and the zoning administrator will advise the applicant, but you can't have any vehicles parking on the grass in the front yard.
Oh, yeah.
So some of the, regardless of what the board does with this special use permit request, some of the vehicles will have to be moved because they can't all fit on the driveway.
Okay, in that regard, let me just take a straw poll about who would be willing to grant variances to allow the issuance of the special permit. Is anyone willing to do that? Okay, then I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
And that brings us to item number 7, 2507 South Road. Is there someone here from that application?
Erica Bitzer. I am joining remotely from SEMA Network.
Okay, why don't you state your name and
Erica Bitzer.
Erica, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide tonight is true and complete to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
did you get an opportunity to review the county's response to the application?
I did not receive anything from the county.
It came in this afternoon, so.
Well, do you want an opportunity to review that? Or do you just want me to read it to you?
If you could read it, that would be great.
All right, so essentially they say, to allow 2 signs where 1 is permitted, to locate those signs above the first story of the building, and to allow 141.1 square feet per sign where 100 square feet is permitted. Because of the precedent set at this location, we find that variances 1 through 3 to be a matter of local concern. The existing Caramount medical signs were granted variances in 2016 for the second sign in their location, but that approval size was 65.5 square feet per sign. They comment that the signs that were erected were substantially larger than what was approved. State law requires the board to allow only the minimum variance necessary, and we find that the applicant has not demonstrated that the size variance is necessary to achieve their objective of visibility from Route 9 in their submitted application. Even the 51 square foot sign appears to be adequate for this purpose, and for the reasons stated above, the department recommends that the board not grant the requested variance for the size of the sign, and points out that if we want to vote contrary to their recommendation, it must be a supermajority. And I will tell you that there's only 6 members sitting tonight.
So 5 would have to vote.
5 would have to vote in favor.
Right.
Okay. Understood.
All right, you want to proceed?
We would like to, yes.
All right, then why don't you describe your application?
So our application is for the location at 2507 South Road in Poughkeepsie. It's currently zoned BH and is located in the Oakwood Commons complex. We are requesting a variance specifically for the Caremount location within that complex. It is currently branded Caremount, however, operating as an Optum healthcare location. We did provide 3 options as required for the signage variance. Option number 1 is the 5-foot, option number 2 is the 4-foot set, and option number 3 was the 3-foot set. Ideally, the outcome would have been to increase the height and square footage to allow for the 5-foot, which is the 60-inch, or the square footage totaling 141. This location, based upon its area in the Oakwood Commons, is set back approximately 128 feet from South Road, and the building distances from the vehicular entrance points to the complex anywhere from 400 feet on the one side to 175 feet on the other side. Based upon the entrances, both above and below on South Road, you do need to be able to change lanes prior to that and enter the complex safely. South Road is 2 lanes in each direction with lights that access on both Spackenkill and Thomas Watson Drive. In order to safely ensure that the visitors are in the correct lane and be able to access the location, they need the visibility prior to those entrances. Motor vehicles need an average of 315 feet in order to decelerate at 40 miles per hour, which is the speed limit for South Road. And based on this, the signage will need visibility at an estimated 650 feet from that building. Signage industry standard visibility is 1 foot of letter height per 100 feet of visibility in distance. This does not include the vertical distance. So based upon those calculations, we are in the range of requiring that 60-inch overall letter height, which we did propose. Are there any questions?
If your signs, the building signs, were lower on the building, would that achieve any of your desired goals?
At this point, no, it would not. There is I can share my screen and show you the approach photos of that area, but there is quite a lot of tree coverage to the lower area of the building. Only that top portion is available. In addition, there is glazing and windows located on those sides of the building, so it would be difficult to mount those letters to that.
All right. Would you be able to produce some illustrations of the signs lower on the building though? And then some illustrations of from the highway about whether or not it's visible?
Sure. I mean, I could even share my screen now if you're able to see on the cell phone.
Technically, we have some technical difficulties right now. So.
Yeah, unfortunately not tonight.
And I do need, I just have some confusion about what's described as options 1 through 3 on pages 8, 9, and 10. Option, are you with me?
I am.
Okay, so on option 1 on page 8, is that the 141 square foot sign?
It is.
Okay. And then option 2 on page 9, that's the 90 square foot sign?
Correct.
And then option 3 on page 10, that's the 51 square foot sign?
Correct.
Okay. So later on in
in the outline. Page 14, it says option 1, 51 square feet. That has no relationship to the other elevation options. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
I think that was a typo. I was looking through this when I was,
It was, you
Yeah.
are correct.
yeah.
Okay, and how long have you been operating as Optum there?
They have been operating at this location as Optum since roughly May of last year, so almost a year.
Okay.
Optum is part of United Health Group, which has acquired all of Caramount as well as a few other chains in the New York and New Jersey area.
All right, I think those are all the questions that I have now. Tony S.
Okay, just an observation. You got a conflict between, dimensions for option 3 between two of the pages in here, unless I'm misreading this. On page, sheet 16, it shows the O in Optum being 4 feet 0 inches, and on sheet 19, it shows it as being 3 feet 0 inches. So, I think we're talking about the same, same layout in each case, right? So you do have a conflict between what you're showing as option 3.
I do apologize for that if there was a typo.
So are you actually looking for 51 square feet on option 3 as it says on sheet 19?
We would prefer the total 5-foot overall height for the O, which would put it at the 141 square feet.
Okay, but just looking at what you got on sheet 19, where you're saying that the O is 3 feet, you have a little note down there that says 51.0 square feet.
Correct.
That's not what they're requesting, but that's one of the options that
It's
they.
one of the options, okay, but there's a
Yes, we
conflict
were
between the two.
told to provide 3 separate options,
Yep.
so that is one of the options.
All right, it's confusing. I mean, at least it is to me, anyway. Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, Tony G. Phyllis.
No, I have no questions.
Art.
I'm good for now.
And Christine.
Same, I just wanted to know what the sizes were, and that's been
Okay.
answered, thank
So-
you.
So we're all clear on just what those illustrations represent, right? Okay. Anyone from the audience who wishes to comment on this application? And anyone,
We do have the one letter.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got one. You have it, Paul, or do you?
I had it.
Have it?
Oh, yes. There is one letter. As a property owner, I am sensitive to the needs of the people in the town. In this specific case, Optum, a large and very busy healthcare business, is requesting a larger sign and a mount at an elevation higher than the code. My comments are as follows. If this were a small business who needs better exposure, a variance would be helpful to the town, its residents, and its business. This business is well-known, large, and no one has any trouble finding or seeing it. In fact, personally, it has taken between 3 to 6 months to get an appointment at this location due to the fact they are booked that far into the future with patients. They are very successful. Therefore, the sign may exacerbate the volume that they cannot serve as is, if the sign would make any difference at all in the amount of people who seek this location. Therefore, there is no benefit to the business or residents of the town by approving this application.
2, the visibility of this location is very obvious and well-known. Therefore, there's no benefit to the business or residents of the town by approving this application. 3, this business is limited in its apparent capacity to service customers for some reason unrelated to the request for a sign. Therefore, it appears a larger sign will not improve capacity unless the larger sign will somehow attract more licensed doctors to serve more residents. Perhaps the applicant can address that issue in the hearing. 4, this business is not a retail consumer business, but rather a medical facility, unless there is a better explanation as to how this sign would be a benefit to the residents in terms of understanding the services and how to find the location by seeing the signage. I see no benefit to the residents or the business. 5, locating a sign too high has been shown to be difficult to see. I believe there are some facts in planning. However, from experience, a sign too high is obscured by the parts of the driver's car and may cause difficulty for some. It is only my opinion that the sign should be placed at the same locations and sizes as originally shown on the plan, unless there is some significant benefit that can be explained. And that's signed E.W. Perry, and that would be part of the record. And so, my suggestion, unless anybody has any problems with the first 3 variances, we could approve those and then adjourn the remainder of it, as I'd like to see some additional renderings of signs that aren't at the top of the building. Is that, anyone agree with that?
The height of the sign is actually one of those first 3, isn't it?
I thought it was.
I'm pretty sure.
The county said they didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, they didn't have a problem with the height or the fact that there's 2. They were concerned about the square footage.
So, okay, so then I guess,
The county
Well-
said because of precedent, because there were a prior variance granted for signs at that height,
Yeah.
they were going to deem it a matter of local concern.
all right, then why don't we hold off on everything? Then? I'd like to see some additional renderings. Anything else that you'd like to see the applicant produce?
Well, the 51 square foot sign is smaller than what's allowed.
Right.
Correct? Okay. Then I'm fine, thank you.
So it's really about the height. And did you read the staff report?
Yes.
So are you able to, for the applicant, are you able to produce some illustrations of lowered signs on the building? Or some alternative to the height?
We can produce those.
Okay, then I'm gonna suggest that we adjourn this till next month.
Second?
Is that enough time for you to produce those?
Yes.
And is that enough time, does the county need to be re-noticed?
I don't think so. Well,
We'll send it to them as soon as we receive it, so they, but I don't know.
if they already deemed the height of the sign local concern, probably not, but we can certainly send it to them if they have any comments on it.
Okay, all right. If that's acceptable to everybody, I'll move to adjourn this to the, it's April 8th, is the next meeting? May 8th?
Let's try.
Okay,
Second.
all right, then I make that motion. Second, okay. All those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then that motion carries. May 8th. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, does anybody need a break? Why don't we take a 5-minute break? And we'll come back at 7:30.